YouTube, it's Adam from I'm Using More. Welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to go ahead and remake from scratch Drake's Give Me a Hug. There are two tempos for this one, 140 and 143, and the track is produced by Kid Masterpiece, Gordo, LIOHN, Klahr, Simon on the Moon, and Noel Cadastre. So we're going to start off with the first beat, which is basically just a sample. Let's go ahead and bring that in. But before we do, we're going to go ahead and change our tempo mode to automatic mode. This way, when we bring in the sample, it's going to automatically find the tempo. It'll make it easy for us to chop up what we need. So the sample is Synth from the Terrell show from season 6. We're going to go ahead and bring it in there. Logic will analyze it. And here it is. Here is the tempo map that it created for that song. What we got to do here is just jump over to the latter part of the track or closer to the end to find that sample.
Let our voices ring, ring, let it ring, let it ring, ring. When we make a joyful sound, with all I got in me, yeah.
So those 4 bars is what we'll loop for the entire first beat. So before we go ahead and chop it up, what I'm going to do here is turn on flex mode, turn it on this track as well. This way, when we change the tempo to the Give Me a Hug tempo, it's going to automatically stretch itself to the appropriate tempo. So we're going to go here and chop it up on bar 74 and bar 78, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and create that new tempo. So we're going to go over up to here. If this is not open, just click this arrow here, go to tempo, tempo sets, new set. And I'm going to call this the Give Me a Hug one so we don't get confused because there are a couple samples here. And for this one, we're going to start off at 140 beats per minute, and then it switches to 143 for beats 2 and 3. So we're just going to type in 140 here to start. All right. If you notice here, nothing changed here because it's stretched to now 140. Let's just duplicate this. We don't need this track. We'll just take this little clip, bring it all the way to the beginning. And we have this sped up. The only thing we have to do here is pitch that up 1 semitone. So we're going to select our region and go option up. And then we got to go ahead and Drakeify this sample, give it that sort of Drake sample feel. So we're going to go ahead and open up an EQ. And we're going to start off by boosting the bass right here. And we're going to take a little bit of the top end out. We'll add a little bit of resonance on that cutoff point. The only thing I'm going to do here is just bring down the volume because it's kind of clipping a bit after we boosted the low end. So let's go like -8. We can bring that up a little bit more. Whoa, not that much. -6. Got to bring in some chorus just to soften up the sample. So we're going to go Control-Command-P and we're going to go to chorus and we're going to go to a preset here, the pad enhancer. Just going to bring down the mix a bit. Let's just bring this up a little bit in volume. All right, and then we got to go ahead and create that automation that you hear at the beginning of the track. I'm just going to copy this over a couple times. So Command-R, Command-R, Command-R. And then we're going to change the track automation mode to touch, and I'll show you how I like to put in automation. So I just like to go to touch over here. And then what I'm going to do is just hit play and then just move the thing that I want moved, which is this right here. So I'm going to go, all right, that's it. And I don't like to step it in live. I'd like to just draw it in. So I'm going to go to my high cut frequency. And the reason why I do that is so that you don't have to go to the EQ and find which one you want. It's just easy just to draw that in and you're done. So what we're going to do here is going to start off with a filtered sound and then we're going to open it up as it plays for about a bar or 2. So we're going to stretch it out over 2 bars. Let's bring this out to here. We'll go to about 5,300 hertz and we'll take this over here. Let's take this one so it's just nice and clean. And we'll start it off at, I think it's around like 200 hertz it gets filtered out at, and then it kind of builds up into that 5,300 hertz. So it sounds something like this. So this is what it looks like on this automation. This is going to open up here. And then that open filter just continues on for beat number 1. Let's go ahead and go to the beat switch up number 2. First thing we got to do is set a new tempo because it does go a little bit faster. So we'll just say it stops at bar 17, which it doesn't, but we'll do that in the arrangement. And I want to enter in a new tempo. So here's the GIMME A HUG tempo. Right now it's all 140. We got to go up to our tempo list over here. I'm going to hit this plus sign. You got to make sure your playhead is at the bar you want the tempo to change at. Hit this plus sign and we're going to type in 143, which is the second beat and third beats tempo. So it's going to go from 140 and then into that new tempo. Now let's go ahead and draw in that melody. So for that sound, we're going to go ahead and go to Logic's library browser. We're going to go over to Studio Horns. We'll go over to Single Instruments and we'll go to the Studio Trumpet 2. And now let's go ahead and draw on that melody. I'm just going to duplicate that over. And for the second part, it switches up a little bit just at the end. So it goes like this. And this just comes back down. And then next what we're going to do is change the articulation of how that sound is played. So if I go ahead and select all of my notes on this instrument, there's actually different types of articulation you can set. So right now it's on the sustain. I'm going to change it over to expressive medium. It just dies down a little bit at the end. All right, next, that is the top melody. Let's go ahead and bring in the sustain notes. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track. We're gonna go over to our library browser. We'll bring in another set of brass instruments. We'll go to orchestral, we'll go to brass, we'll go to trumpets. And the pattern is gonna go something like this. And that just loops itself. Next, we're going to bring in a keys element with the piano. So I'm going to create a new software instrument track. And we're going to go ahead and just copy this pattern down. And over here, we're just going to go to our library browser. We're going to go to piano. And we'll just go to the Studio Grand. I'm just going to make these notes a little softer. Next, we're going to bring in like the stabby brass synth type sound, create a new software instrument track. For this one, we'll use Logic's Alchemy. And we're going to bring in a preset here. Let's click that. We'll type in the preset that I am looking for, the Brassy Jazz Ensemble. This one right here, we'll leave it on the rich performance. It's going to play the same melody that the trumpet was playing. And together, it sounds like this. All right, next we're gonna bring in some French horns just to emphasize some of like the upper brassiness of the sound that we need. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track. We're gonna go over to our library browser. We're gonna go over to Legacy, Jam Pack Symphony Orchestra. We'll go over to horns and we'll go to the extra French horn section legato, this right here. We're gonna go ahead and copy down the same pattern once again. And all we're gonna do here is pull up the velocity once more. It's going to bring out that top end a little bit more with the French horn instrument. And then we're going to bring in some modulation to the sound just to soften it up a little bit. So I'm going to group all of these tracks together. I'm going to hold down Shift, click them all, and go Shift Command G to group them together. And then I'm going to go ahead and go under the modulation category and bring in the ensemble plugin. And I'm going to go to a preset here. Just the first one here. And we'll just use that preset and then we'll add in some reverb. And for the reverb, I'm going to bring in Logic's new reverb plugin, the Quantec Room Simulator. And I'm going to go over to the warped rooms category, and I'm going to bring in the ship room preset. And next up, let's bring in the drums. So I'm going to go ahead and new software instrument track, and I'm going to go over to the library browser and bring in the drum kit I made for this remake, the GIMME A HUG drum kit. If you're looking for the drum samples from Drake and Party Next Door's latest collab album, I put together a deconstructed kit. It's organized by track and organized by sound to easily find the sound you're looking for. Link will be down below if you're interested in that, but let's get back to the remake. We'll start off with the snare, and it's just going to be a simple pattern. Just be on the 3. And we'll add in another one right here. The hi-hat is a basic 2-step pattern, so we're just going to draw that in like that. Next, let's get to that open hat. So just go ahead and change this over to 32 steps. Take that first one out and duplicate the 64. And for this last one right here, I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. All right, next, let's bring in the first perc. Now, the second perc, create a pattern region. We're going to go stretch this out to 32 steps. And we're just going to put it on this one right there. Next, let's get to the 808. And that pretty much just duplicates itself. That just repeats itself. And then next we're going to bring in that vocal sample. Now I don't know where it came from, so I just sampled it from the track itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring that in right over here. Let's drag that in, just move it to the correct spot, and it sounds like this. That goes on for a couple of bars, so I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this section over. And then we just got to get to the first piece before we get into this whole breakdown. So let's move this over. And what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and just bounce down all this right here. So this bit over here. We're going to click Control B, and we'll just do, this will be halftime. So we'll just do halftime melody, whatever. All right. Oh, I didn't click leave. It's okay. We'll just unmute that here. And I'm going to push this back. So we get this for this section right out of the sample. So I'm going to go Control Command P, and I'm going to bring in Logic's, what is that plugin? I forget what it's called. Let's go to the effects right over here. We'll go to Multi-Effects, Beat Breaker. There it is. And once that loads up, I have mine set on halftime as a preset. So if you don't, just click halftime down here and... And that's pretty much it for that part. And then we got to move on into the track and go into that sort of beat 2 breakdown. And what we're going to do here is create a new software instrument track. And we're going to bring in the first sound that we need. We'll just bring it down here. We'll go over to our library browser. We're going to go over to orchestral. We'll go over to brass, and we'll bring in the trumpets instrument. And we're going to go ahead and just draw in the melody here. Duplicate that over. And then we're just going to copy this one back over here and stretch that out. Except I don't want it so bright, so I'm going to bring down the velocity here, make it a little softer. Let's go and duplicate that over. And once again, I still don't want it so bright, so I'm going to bring the EQ and just filter out some of the top end. So let's open up the EQ, and I'm going to just take this down here. Next, let's go ahead and bring in like another brassy synth type thing. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new software instrument track. I'm going to bring in Logic's Alchemy. And what we're going to do here is going to bring in another preset called Brassy Synth Swell. Here it is right here. I'm going to copy down the same pattern, except I'm going to make these notes shorter, so they're not going to be sustained. So let's bring this back, and let's bring this back. All right, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate this, move this over. Next, we'll go ahead and layer up those chords. We'll create another software instrument track. We'll bring in Logic's Alchemy once again. And for this one, we're going to go ahead and bring in a preset called Brassy Jazz Ensemble. We're going to go over to the thin performance, and let's just copy this down here. And then I'm just going to bring in like a super saw pad just to bring everything together. So I'm going to create a new software instrument track. And for this, I'm going to bring in a Logic's ES2 synthesizer. And like I said, it's just going to be this default setting that loads up right here. I'm going to copy down the chord progression. Except I want this to be a little darker, right? Maybe the only thing I'll change is just bring these two oscillators down an octave. We'll cut out some of the bass. So this, I'm going to go ahead and just filter this out a little bit as well. So let's open up Logic's Alchemy, bring down the cutoff. Next, what we're going to do is going to go ahead and group all these together. The first one I'm going to bring in is a little bit of distortion with Chroma Glow. The first thing we're going to do is going to bring in a preset here. It is the Bring Me Up preset. Just makes it a little darker sounding. And I'm going to bring in a gain plugin here just to bring the volume down a bit. It's a little loud. Then we'll bring in some chorus to soften it up. So Control Command P. We'll bring in Logic's chorus. And I'm going to use I think I want to use the Guitar Summer preset. Oh, this is on the wrong track. So let's bring that down to here. I'll leave it on 35. And then we'll just use some EQ just to shape the sound a bit. We'll open up Logic's EQ right over here, and I'm going to take a little bit of the top end out. Take some of the low end out because we're going to bring in some bass. Make it a little bit more narrower. And I'm going to boost this mid section here. And then lastly, we're going to put it in a space. So I'm going to go Control Command P and bring in Logic's Quantec Room Simulator once again. And we'll go to the same Warped Room Ship Room preset. And then the hi-hats come into play here. And then we have to bring in that bass as well. So I'm creating a new software instrument track. And we're just going to build it from scratch using Logic's ES2 synthesizer. Let's load that up right here. The only thing we're going to do here is go over to the first oscillator. We're only going to use that. It's going to be just a basic sine wave. We'll leave everything else as is. Maybe we'll just bring this up a little bit because I know it's going to click. I don't want the click. And let's go ahead and draw on that pattern. Let's bring up the velocity. bring up an EQ. I'm going to take out some of the more of the top end. Just want that sub there. And then from that, it goes back into this. And then we go into that last sample. So let's go ahead and bring that in. So before we do actually bring it in, I'm going to go ahead and mute all of these tracks because we're going to have to create another tempo map so that we can chop up where we need. So we're going to go to GIMME A HUG, go to tempo set and create a new set. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in that new sample. So the sample is the I Miss You sample by Aaron Hall. So I'm going to bring that in right here. Let's bring it in all the way to the top. All right. Just like that. Logic will do its thing, analyze it, give us the tempo of the track, which is 120 beats per minute. And all we got to do is basically take the intro part right here. All right, and then we're just going to go 8 bars here. Take the 8 bars from it. But before we go ahead and change the tempo back to the GIMME A HUG tempo, we're going to go ahead and select this region and make sure flex mode is turned on. This way, when we change the tempo here, we're going to go back to the GIMME A HUG. It's not going to shift anything. It's going to be locked to the new tempo at 140. All right, so what we're going to do here is just mute this. Actually, let's just create a new track. And let's bring this all the way up here next to our other sample. Move this all the way to here because it just jumps right into it. And we got to add a little bit of EQ to it. So we're going to open up our EQ. What we're going to do is just pull out some of the top end here. And we got to boost this bass as well. Quite a bit actually. And in the original song, this was boosted a little bit as well. So I'm just going to boost it again a bit. So we go out of this part into that Aaron Hall I Miss You sample. Oh, let's go ahead and just bring that all back in here. All right, so that right there is Gimme a Hug by Drake, remade in Logic Pro. Next, what I'm gonna do is mix it, arrange it, and when we come back, we'll take a listen to how everything sounds together. Remade in Logic Pro. For Logic Pro users, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you. Place it as a downloadable link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm going to export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that entire playback down below the like button as well. If you do have any questions on this or just want to chat or have any suggestions for future videos, let's go chat down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.